What's up, homies? Welcome back to another discussion about The Mandalorian. We are talking about Chapter 14, The Betrayal, which if you have not seen our reaction to that episode, you might want to stop what you're doing, go back one video, watch the reaction, then come back and let's talk about this thing, because oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire, it was a spicy meatball. So much stuff happened in that episode. Obviously, the big thing that everybody's talking about, Boba Fett, which was so good. We also had the return of Fennec Shen, who was played by Ming-Na Wen. And the tragedy, which we kept debating of like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be, oh, is it the Razor Crest being destroyed? Oh, is it the spear being lost? Oh, nope, it was the Dark Troopers taking Grogu.
Taking my son.
It sadly happened.
Those robots.
Yeah, it sadly happened.
Yeah.
But it was like a very tight, only like 30 some odd minutes. It was probably the shortest episode of the season so far. It was very tight and it kind of got to the point right away. I feel like other episodes, we start off and we're kind of like getting to wherever we're going. This one, we were like pretty much on Tython already. I'm not too familiar with the planet Tython. I know that it's been referenced in some of the comic books. Dr. Aphra, the first mention, and actually I think the first time we visited is in Dr. Aphra, one of the issues of that comic book. And a lot of people, the speculation I kept hearing around this episode was maybe it'll tie into Jedi Fallen Order, because that game, a lot of the game is about going to other Jedi temples. We never actually got to see who Grogu was actually communicating with, which I'm sure we'll probably at some point understand like what happens. I know that Ahsoka Tano, I'm pretty sure this is her only appearance, so I don't know if we're gonna have that connection to be able to figure out what happens. So that might not be something that we explore till later on, but I thought it was really cool to see a character do that. We've never really seen a character communicate with the Force in that kind of a way. Yeah. But it was very interesting.
It was very video gamey. And so much of this show, not in a bad way, is very video gamey because, like, as we've been saying, it's like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Yeah. It's go here, do this, meet this person, talk to this person. Yeah. Now go here, do this, meet this person, talk to this person, get this information. Now go here. And this one was like, you know, Ahsoka told him a thing almost as if it was this automatic thing, and we're kind of laughing at Mando because he goes like, well, she said to put you on the rock and that you do the rest. And I think we were all thinking like, dude, he's just gonna sit there for a minute and he needs to meditate. But then
it's
instead
autopilot. It's not autopilot like that, baby.
It honestly went into autopilot. It turned into a thing that was helpful for the story because it couldn't be something that was interrupted, but it was like a big blue beam of light into the sky, like he was jacked in, plugged into the Matrix, and you couldn't take him out. And so it felt very video gamey. You know, it looked like
it's a classic hold the point, King of the Hill type level in a video game. Yeah. And it was great because it literally was going uphill trying to, you know, keep your precious cargo safe. I think the reveal for me of Robert Rodriguez directing this episode, it was awesome.
That was the scene stealer.
That was the scene stealer, man. The whole episode, that was the best frame of the season. No, it got straight to the point, and the action was so on point. Yeah, the action was just so good. Everything was clear cut. Things were kind of predictable, but at the same time, everything felt very fresh. Watching, I think Robert Rodriguez was the perfect person to bring back Boba Fett. Yeah, to bring back the action that people have been waiting 40 years to see. Rather than just like a Boba Fett being eaten in the Sarlacc pit. I think it was very, very, very a very good decision on Filoni and Favreau's part to have him helm this episode for sure. I bet you they showed him the list and they were like, "Which one do you want to do?"
Well, this is actually the funny thing about that. He was not the first choice for this episode.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he was.
Tell me more.
He was a last minute get. The original director that they had dropped out, and so they hit him up and they said, like, would you be interested in coming to do this? And he read the script and he said he really liked it. Interesting. And obviously at that point he wasn't able to reveal like why, but if they come to you and they're like, hey man, we want you to be the director that brings back Boba Fett, then like,
And he did not direct an episode from season 1. This is the first time
this is the first one,
he did for the show. That's crazy. I know that after this episode, I know a lot of discussion was happening on our YouTube comments, but I think maybe even also in the Discord of like, how do they divvy up these episodes? You know, which is very interesting behind the scenes. Like, like who's involved in collecting those directors? Is it just Favreau because he's like the director guy? You know, is Kathleen Kennedy or the rest of Lucasfilm making those calls?
Yeah.
Is it, you know, I know from season 1, the question of like, did Bryce Dallas Howard get this gig because her father directed Solo? Like that kind of connection, maybe, possibly. I'm sure they all know each other. All of these folks already know each other to some degree, but like, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they break it down in the season 2 of like the gallery, the Disney gallery, where maybe they have like the directors roundtable. I hope
that's going to be fun.
I hope Rodriguez is in that, man, because
I'm actually like really pumped to get more behind the scenes stuff this season because I think season one was really cool, and I really liked all the episodes of the Disney gallery, and obviously like the tech one was the one that for me was one of the more bigger episodes that I was really into. But I'm loving every single director that they've picked for this season. Yeah. And that's not to say I didn't like any of the directors from last season. I love those directors too. But like I grew up watching Robert Rodriguez. His DVDs were my film school because he has so many special features on there of like how he did things for cheap and how he does it.
Yes.
This feels like a Robert Rodriguez movie, episode, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like he's always, because he has that studio in Texas and because he's so used to shooting everything in like a controlled soundstage area for a lot of his movies, almost exclusively green screen for a lot of them, like the way he shot Sin City and basically a plane hangar. He's a very efficient filmmaker, and that knowing going into the episode that he was directing it, you could totally see all of that. This was also the episode where a lot of the behind the scenes stuff got leaked on Twitter. Do you guys remember that?
I don't, but people bring it up.
Yeah.
You know what? I did see it actually on TikTok.
Me too.
So there
Just last night.
was somebody. I'm that old guy on TikTok. There's somebody who was just TikToking the troopers outside in the field. Apparently, it's out here somewhere near LA. I'm not sure.
And
exactly.
apparently, there's mountains in Texas. So I guess.
Right.
Hey, calm down, Texans. Calm down.
Hey, I made the mistake of messing with Texas. Okay, now I'm getting the horns.
You don't mess with Texas.
I get the horns. I don't know.
Not only do we have mountains, we got every single climate imaginable. We got rainforest.
We got potatoes.
We got tornado Antarctica. Country. We got tundra. We got space.
I wonder if Keller watched our video and was like, "What is that dummy talking about?"
We got dimensions 1 through 6.
Hell, we got
Y'all
lava,
don't even know.
We got snow. We got rain. We got air. We got all the elements. You can bend them all in Texas.
That last scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That was Texas.
Shot it in Texas.
That was
That's
Texas. Yep.
Good times. They're gonna
really good.
Y'all know that they shot Mustafar in Texas. Don't ever forget.
On a real volcano.
Right next to the
Raiders
Alamo.
Castle,
They shot
El Paso.
There's a real volcano in the middle of Austin, Texas.
Gotham City, Texas.
Texas. Hell, Middle Earth. Well, that was New Zealand. That was New Zealand. We'll give you that.
That was actually New Zealand.
That was New Zealand.
That was pretty dope. That was pretty dope.
We ain't gonna lie, because we don't lie in
Keller
Texas.
hear you? Keller's gonna choke you
No,
out.
I know. He's gonna come get me.
Keller's gonna come in.
What you say about Texas?
We're just gonna see Keller fly in through the.
He's gonna
be
come
like,
with a cast iron pan and beat you over the head with it.
My Texan senses were tingling. What are you saying?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, his Texas tattoo was vibrating.
He said, woo, 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 woo. Somebody's talking crap. Woo, 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 woo.
About Texas.
Well, better roll up my sleeves. Get to going.
Anyways, all our viewership in Texas just left.
All 10 people. Well, okay, so I think like big moments obviously was Grogu being kidnapped by the Dark Troopers.
Yes.
We knew that moment was going to happen. Like we knew that Moff Gideon was going to show up at some point. Very unlikely it was going to happen only in the season finale.
Right.
So the unexpected thing, because like, again, we talked about it. Ahsoka Tano, we knew was happening. Unexpected was Boba Fett and Fennec Shen. And like, that was such a unexpected surprise, but it was done so incredibly well. And the moment when Boba Fett actually shows up in the armor, that's like, how do you top that?
It was great.
That was like, that was the moment.
That's the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like it was made for Temeura Morrison. Like it was like,
Totally.
oh, dang. He is kind of a little bit of a different silhouette than we're used to with the classic Boba Fett actor.
He's a thick boy, man.
He's thick.
He's a thick boy.
But he's
Older,
no,
thick boy.
He's no Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
No,
who was
exactly.
Tall
He
and
fills
thin.
that out. He fills that
fills it
out
out.
real good.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that Augustine said about how Robert Rodriguez was the perfect guy to do this episode. And I think it's because that action was so visceral. And as we were watching, and I know I said it, I was like, I know why this action is awesome, and I can't say it, and that because that was the spoiler. But Adam, we got a really cool email that goes into the specifics of some of the symbolism and metaphor, and importance of this episode and of the return of Temeura Morrison to play this character. And I think that Robert Rodriguez, with his handheld, like with his action style being what it is, I think he's good at close combat action, is what I'm saying. Fits perfectly into this thing. Adam, you should read this letter because it's awesome.
So we got this amazing letter, and I almost forgot about it, which would have been a huge like disservice to this letter. I just want to say this flat out before. I'm going to butcher some pronunciations. I apologize. Right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's Maori is not our culture. Yeah. It's not our language, so we don't know.
Yeah, but we have love for it, and this is awesome.
We love and respect.
We got this letter from a viewer named Haron Waratini. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. But there's a lot of stuff written here, but I will read the part specifically relating to Temeura Morrison and Maori culture and Boba Fett. They say, now to the subject. Temeura Morrison is also of Maori descent. He's a celebrated actor here. He was in a soap opera as a doctor, but most notably played the lead character in one of our most famous films, Once Were Warriors, Temeura is also a celebrated performer of Maori culture, both song, dance, and haka. He is trained in our traditional weaponry, so when he used the gaffy stick in this episode, this was our culture. The gaffy stick is similar to the tefa tefa. His stick work is similar to taiaha as well. It's a melee spear club combo. Finally, when he shows Din Djarin his chain code, that's his genealogy, or as we call it, our fuck-a-papa. And he says, I know the first two syllables sound dirty in English, but our words are older, and we're used to that sort of reaction. This is one of the cornerstones of the Maori culture, your genealogy, your place in the universe. To see Temeura be able to bring these important parts of our culture to the universe was very emotional. As an indigenous colonized culture, it really is important that we know our ways are important and not inferior. It makes perfect cultural and lore sense for Boba and Jango to understand and use those things from the Tusken being a colonized indigenous people. So to summarize, M is for Maori, M is for Mandalorian. Also, we didn't use a lot of short-range weapons, which is why troopers had bad aim. We're mostly all hand to hand. May the force be with you.
So, amazing.
Makes sense. We just needed a New Zealander to explain that to us.
And I think the cool thing about this letter also was this morning I was mentioning these guys on, I believe it was Sci-Fi. They did a whole article of how understanding the genealogy and the backstory of Jango Fett plays into and adds so much depth to the clone troopers.
Absolutely.
And as much as like we totally can, kind of poke fun of like, oh, they're bad shooters. There's now when you like understand them bringing in Maori culture into Boba Fett, Jango Fett, obviously just by process, like all of the clones, it really makes you kind of rethink their genealogy, the way that they fight, how they fight, all that sort of stuff. Like, honestly, I never thought I would say this. I would be very interested to like see a show or a one shot or an episode of Mando where we meet characters who are clones who have like survived Order 60, who have survived all these like galactic wars and stuff. And to like maybe get a little insight into what their life is like and understand how they react to sort of understanding their own genealogy. Because there was some really cool stuff in there in the article that talked about Jango Fett, where he comes from, the episode itself revealing that he is in fact a foundling who fought in the Mandalorian civil wars, because a lot of people had talked about for years of like, well, if Jango Fett's not Mandalorian, then like where does the armor come from? Why is he the chosen one to become sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the reason why the clones are developed, more or less.
Right.
Like, why was he chosen to be the template for all the soldiers?
Exactly.
Basically.
So
what was that?
And I loved all of that stuff. I thought having a little bit of that insight and just understanding just enough, because they've done Jango Fett's origin story just a little bit in Legends. And obviously, we kind of don't know exactly where that falls, but I think this episode really helps solidify, like, we are kind of fully embracing and leaning into this genealogy for Jango Fett and by proxy, Boba Fett.
We've always called it Boba Fett. That's the character's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then how does Temeura come in with his gorgeous
Boba
accent?
Fett. Oh.
Boba Fett. Like
So
it's
good.
like, ooh, that's
He said it, and I was like, "Oh, my ear just tickled."
Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Boba
got a
Did I
Fett.
just have an
tickled.
orgasm?
Yeah, did my
what?
ear just have an eargasm? What happened
It's
there?
great.
What's
It's
going
great, and as
Boba
great
Fett.
as actor D. Bradley Baker, also known as the voice of Momo and Appa in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and doing amazing vocal things with his voice for animal sounds and a bunch of different voices. He voices all the clones in Clone Wars and stuff like that and beyond, and he's awesome at it. But I have to be honest, hearing Temeura come in and add his accent, I'm like, ooh, that really is something that D. Bradley wasn't really doing as much.
Yeah.
He was kind of doing a sort of like, it's a little bit of a British accent, it's kind of up here, something like that. And like he did a great
Right.
job and he had some really beautiful performances. But then to
Imagine
hear,
if it was Temeura Morrison.
it would have just been next level. It's awesome. So it just makes me so happy, like you guys are saying, to be able to infuse any kind of authentic cultural representation into a non-authentic fictional sci-fi
Right.
fantasy world. It's like, that's cool because the people who know and they pick up on that, and the people who don't know, years from now you can tell kids around the world like, oh, here's the Maori culture, this is what they're about. Did you guys ever see Mandalorian? Yeah. Well, do you remember Boba Fett? Yeah, he's my favorite. Well, it's kind of inspired by, based on, that cool
Well,
stuff.
check this
So
out.
you can
There's some
talk to your
cool
kids,
people called the
Hector?
Maori.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's super cool.
Most of everything that we have seen has paid off at this point, and now it's that showdown. The Darksaber's back on screen. Moff Gideon is commanding his role again. Grogu's caught and was force choking full. Can we talk
was
about
so
that?
good.
Can we talk about him using dark side powers? Can we talk about him like just wrecking fools as a baby? That was insane to me. He was giving in to the fear and his anger.
Temptation.
And temptation. And I mean, clearly he's still young. He could have done it just as a protection instinct.
Yeah.
But it's still an a indication that he might be leaning in that direction, which is crazy.
Very
Like,
possible.
Sad.
could he be a dark side user? Could he be more like Rey, in which
Right.
she can tap into both sides?
That's a good point.
What do we do? Like, what is this kid gonna do?
It's a very good point.
And then
Yeah.
who was he talking to? Who was he communicating with on that rock? If anybody.
If anybody.
Was it just a beacon?
Right.
Did Ezra see him out there somewhere? Did he communicate with Yoda somehow?
Yeah, because the way that it's worded, it makes it sound like when you sit on that rock, I took it two ways. You sit on the rock and it project, like you basically tap into the Matrix.
Yeah.
And you can communicate with other force sensitive people. Or the way I also took it was it literally sends a beam out into space and it like triggers an alert, more or less, that other force users know that you're there.
Right.
That's a little bit-
That's what I
Yeah.
That's what I understood it as.
Yeah.
I think he was really meditating and zoned out, and then like that rock was like, universe, there's a little baby Grogu here. Boof, 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 boof.
User in Sector 12.
And somewhere
Yes.
Mark Hamill was like, I can't. Like somewhere he's in the galaxy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people speculating that Luke Skywalker could show up. I'm not going to dismiss it completely, but I think that I don't know. I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think
It's
this
not-
show will do
yeah.
Luke Leia Han. I
don't think so
don't
either.
think so. I don't
I'm
think
kinda okay
if
it
it's
doesn't do it either.
it's fine to recast if it's a prequel 10 years before, like we saw with Solo, and you're going to have the character for a whole 2-hour movie. It's fine if it's a new voice actor. But look at their CG technology they use for Tarkin and they use for Leia in Rogue One. Like, I don't think we're going to see that for a cameo moment when you can just avoid it, because right now, as the saga is, you have the actors as they were in 1983, and then the next time you see them is in 2015, and that's kind of clean. And if it's animated or in a book or comic, it's fair game, and we've seen them in between, but I don't think they're going to try to do any live action replicating of
don't
those
need it.
actors. Yeah. Yeah.
My predictions are either Ezra Bridger, because he has direct ties into the Darksaber,
Correct.
to Thrawn,
Ahsoka.
and all of Rebel, so everything. But my heart of hearts wants it to be Yoda, because Yoda is my favorite character in this entire Star Wars franchise, because of his role as the educator and the leader and the ultimate wise one. He, in almost every series that you watch, animated or not, he comes in as the educator, but not just like I'm telling you what to do. It's like I'm leading you towards your guide, as you're the leader to your own conclusion, so that you learn yourself. So I have a feeling that if it's not Ezra, it's gonna be Yoda, and then I'm gonna freak out if it is.
What does a baby Yoda sound like when they talk?
That's
gonna be really weird when they cast some actor to do the voice, and I'm like, is it gonna be a child? Is it? It's gonna be
Cheech Marin. Hey, Dad.
Hey, Mexican Americans.
Hey, what's up, Holmes? Come on, let's go.
That's a terrible.
It's really bad. I hurt my throat. I don't know. I need to. It's really bad, Cheech. Hey, he said his name was Ralph, man. It's really bad.
Was what? Garganta?
Might as well get Tommy Chong for that one. Yeah, man.
Guys, let us know in the comments below, though, if there's any other things that you might have picked up on that we might have missed. I feel like there was not too many Easter egg type of things. I feel like we covered most of the good stuff. Seeing Slave 1 was cool. That's always a plus. Seeing Boba Fett not die, that was a big plus. Seeing the return of some of those characters was awesome. I think we're at this point, we're just kind of like excited to get to the finale, but I'm also like dreading it because I don't want the show to end because the season's been so good. But nevertheless, let us know your comments down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out our Discord, link down below as well. If you have not watched our reaction, I don't know why you've been sitting here all this time. Go watch that, then come back, let us know, and we'll catch you in the next video.